Hi guys, Erma EP22. So this is a 22 copy of a P08 Luger, German Luger. It was made in Germany, caliber 22 long rifle. So at the Erma Werke started in 1922, and they made a bunch of guns during the Second World War, bunch of machine guns, submachine guns, and rifles. And then after the war, they weren't allowed to produce anything. And then in 1955, when Germany could make firearms again, they started up and they basically just made 22s, other guns too, but 22 was what they were focusing on. Most of it exported to the US, and this is kind of a alloy metal called Zamak or something, and it's like a pot metal that this is made from. So this is a Luger in looks only, because it's just direct blowback. So this toggle action just blows back, where a Luger, the actual barrel is the slide, and that the barrel will slide back up until that point, and then that acts as a ramp, which then pushes up against those two toggles on either side, which then breaks the knee action and then allows the action to break. And when it's closed, it is you can push straight back on it, and it is strong. It kind of works like your knee. So when you stand on your knee, you're strong. As soon as somebody kicks you in the back of the knee, you collapse, and this is what happens. Yeah. So this in a straight line, that's strong. As soon on a Luger, as soon as it hits that ramp, it will break the knee, and the knee can jump up. 22 being low pressure, doesn't need that, and it's just a straight blowback. Okay, so what this gun has come in for, it is not always extracting, it is feeding most of the time, it is not necessarily blowing all the way back to pick up the next cartridge, it doesn't always go into battery, it kind of ends up there and you got to slam it and then close, and those are all the problems it has. These guns have got a problem in that it's a delicate balance between getting the right velocity, because too high a velocity, like a Stinger, will break the gun, and too low velocity will not cycle the gun. And then the other issue they have is they got very tight chambers, and that's part of the reason why it doesn't always go into battery. So what I'm going to do with it is take it apart, give it a good clean, check the chamber. Maybe I got metal flowing in there from dry firing. Most guns that don't have hammers, people tend to dry fire them, and see if I can maybe clean that out. And maybe the chamber is just gummed up slightly, and that's part of the problem why it's not going into battery properly. Okay, taking it apart and get the mag out. Looks just like a 9mm P08 Luger mag. So to take this apart, you actually got to come forward. You got to pull forward on this assembly, and it's got that button over there. So you got to get that forward and then push out that lug over there, and then you let it come back and push back on it, and then you got a pin over there that you got to push out, and that pin can go any direction. It's held in by the frame. We've got springs that are going to come shooting out. So there's the pin, and here's the springs. There's the one, there's the other one. So there's a spring. That looks like it is the ejector. This looks like it is the action spring. Now we can pull this out the front. There you go. That's a pin, one of the toggle pins. But this is the firing pin, or striker. It's a striker. Take that toggle pin out. There's the bolt, and this slides off the front. And there's the plunger for the action spring. I'm going to take the grips and everything off, give it a good clean. It's very gungy inside. And it's got a fork, just like a Luger, gunged up at the back there. I'll scrub the chamber out. What I have seen guys do is they ream the chamber to American spec, because the European spec is apparently slightly tighter than the US spec, and then they chamber better. That screw is slightly mangled. I'll just give it a light tap and get it back into shape. And the grips are wood. Going on a slot over there. Very nice. I'm not going to take it apart any further. I'm just going to clean it out. The difference in the chambers between European 22s and American 22s might be a rumor, but it also might be true. I shot this gun with several different types of ammo, and the one that ran the best and gave no trouble whatsoever was this. This has got a R head stamp. This is Norma TAC, and this is a Remington, just a bulk Remington. So, and if I drop that in there, it doesn't drop in freely. It gets to there, and then it's got massive resistance, and I'm forcing it in there, and it's going in, and I will battle my butt off to get it out. Okay, so that goes in tight. The Norma, so put that in, and it just drops straight on. That explains why it wasn't battling to go into battery with that. So maybe it's not just a story. Maybe there is indeed a slight difference in dimension. Look how this firing pin setup works. So there's the striker, and it's rimfire, so that's the firing pin on the striker, and it pokes out that hole there, and it's got a hole in the middle. So what it does is it's held back by the sear, and when the sear lets go, it runs forward and punches out the front right there to strike the rim of the case. Then the bolt retracts, and this is the striker spring, and it sits in there, and this rod, which is also this, that's got a pin on the front, and what that does is So when the bolt comes back, and this is fixed on the toggle at the back on that pin, that rod's fixed there. So when the bolt, when it toggles back and pulls this back, it punches through that hole, and that's the ejector that kicks the empty out, hits it in the middle. So even if it's a live round, because it's in the middle, it won't ignite it because it's not striking on the rim. Clever. Okay guys, I sorted out that chamber. So I got this reamer, and it's just a chamber reamer. It's not cutting, it won't affect the headspace because the headspace on a 22 is on the rim, and this is actually not cutting that, it's just cutting the actual chamber on the inside. I got this, and then this I can't reach in there, so I just made a piece of extension with a set screw or a grub screw over there, and then that goes in there, and then I just tie that up, and that allowed me to reach in there so that I could actually get to turn that a little bit at a time, 2 turns clean out, 2 turns clean out, and test. And now what I got is, so that's the Norma. So I got all the rounds are falling free into that chamber. That's the Norma. That's a Remington. So that goes in with absolute no pressure. There's the Winchester. That was probably the worst of the lot. That falls in. That's an Agula or Agula. That goes in with also no resistance, and that's a Federal, and same thing, goes in all the way. So good hopes that will sort it out. This is a Stinger, and the Stinger has got a longer case than what a regular 22 long rifle has, and you should not shoot these in these guns because the toggle is not strong enough, and a Stinger still does not chamber because I did not push the shoulder forward where the lead starts. I just cleaned out the case up to the chamber up to that point, so it's still not possible to shoot a Stinger in it, which is good. Okay, after a good clean, let's get it back together. Get the toggle back in, and it's got a little pin that holds that on. Get the bolt into the upper. The striker with the sear interface to the bottom. And then striker spring. Ejector. Put the bolt all the way forward and get the ejector into that hole like that. On the frame we got that sleeve for the main spring that goes in at the bottom over there, then the main spring and its plunger, and now you got to slide that in from the back, or from the front rather. And get it to push out the back like that. Now that part needs to slot into that little hollow over there. Get that up there. that. Now we got to push down on it and line that up with that hole. Put a pin in. The pin can go in from either side. Pins in. And now we've got to push forward. And we got this catch. And it's got a pin, takedown pin, and it's got a cutout that faces forward. So we push forward with that, slide that in, and all assembled. Gave it a good clean, reamed the chamber, fixed these screws. They were kind of all mangled from using too small a screwdriver bit, so I beat them back into shape, especially this one. Now for a test fire. There you go, guys. I'm going to call that a success. So I test fired it with Norma Tack, which is a 40 grainer, ran flawlessly. Blazer, CCI Blazer, which is also a 40 grain, also flawlessly, no problem. Aguila 40 grains, also ran flawlessly. Also tested, and this is 10 rounds. I ran 10 rounds of each. Aguila 38 grain, also ran like a top. Remington bucket of bullets, that's 36 grain. It loves this stuff. The Federal 40 grain, also no problem. Ran good with that. The only two that didn't want to run was this bulk pack of Winchester M22. It's a 40 grain at 1255, and the Armscore 36 grain also didn't run with that. And when I mean it didn't run, it chambered perfectly, it went into battery perfectly, but these two does not have enough power to blow the slide back to pick up the next round. So it ejects and then closes on an empty chamber, and that's basically it. Other than that, it would feed chamber, go into battery on all of them. So that's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 rounds of different brands ran flawlessly. These two don't want to do it. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that and that it helps somebody out there. Stay safe. We talk again. Cheers.